us. And he's going to talk about food and flavour innovation for health and nutrition. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be here today to share with you some insights regarding, I guess, some of the pressures that the food industry are facing now in terms of public health concerns, very dramatic ones that WHO is taking significant action on, and also to tell you a little bit about the role of flavour in helping people to eat in a more healthy way, and also some of the work that Simrise is doing now with nutritional ingredients. I believe this will kick in a second. Okay, just a couple of slides to commence, just to tell you who Simrise is. I'm sure most of you know who we are, but there's probably the odd one there who does not. Simrise is the fourth largest supplier of fragrances and flavourings, cosmetic active ingredients and raw materials, and functional ingredients. We sell over 30,000 products worldwide in more than 160 different countries. And we grow faster than the market. We are growing faster than the market, and this is because we're testing boundaries, we're trying new things, we're innovating essentially, and we're setting new standards with our innovative product concepts and sustainable business practices at all levels. Unfortunately, here we go. So Simrise is located, we have offices in 35 countries worldwide. We have our regional headquarters is located in Holzminden in Germany, or our global headquarters is located in Holzminden, Germany, and we have a regional headquarters in Teterboro in the United States. We have a regional headquarters in Sao Paulo in Brazil. We also have a regional headquarters in Singapore, and that's where I'm based. That's where our Asia Pacific Marketing Innovation Center is, and we also have a manufacturing facility there with more than 500 employees. And in terms of our organization and how we differentiate ourselves, the traditional business of flavor and fragrances is essentially around flavor and scent. We have diversified and differentiated our portfolio by adding nutrition ingredients to that, and also cosmetic ingredients, for example, in terms of active aging. These provide added benefits and integrated services for our customers and give us a differentiated portfolio. Here in China, we also have a large footprint and a sizable presence. So we have our manufacturing headquarters in China here with approximately 300 employees. We have offices in 4 cities, in Taiwan, in Guangzhou, in Beijing, and we tailor. So we have that global experience, of course, for the underpinning competencies and what we can learn around the world. But we have flavor creation here. We have flavor application that enables us to have a deep understanding of the Chinese consumer and the traditional tastes of Chinese, as we heard from the previous speaker, and to tailor our flavors specifically to the needs of the Chinese customer. We have sensory and consumer insights here also. So in terms of what I'm going to talk about, 4 topics. First, really to tell you a little bit about why Simrise is now putting significant effort into addressing public health concerns with nutritional ingredients. I'll then speak specifically about healthcare flavors. I'll tell a little bit about probiotics and provide for you some insights into what probiotics can do for you. And this is really an area where there has been a good history of probiotics, and there are many products in the marketplace, but the the new applications that are being found now and discovered, and the strong clinical evidence that is supporting that, is really showing a huge potential and a significant opportunity for new products into the future. And lastly, I'll talk about nutritional value and metabolic health, and I'll talk a little bit about not just what you eat, but also the timing of what you eat, because it's not simply what you eat, it's when you eat what you eat also that becomes important. So if we look at what is the public health status worldwide today, non-communicable diseases are diseases that cannot be passed from one person to another. They're typically caused by diet and lifestyle factors. We can see here that 36 million global deaths due to non-communicable diseases. These are figures from 2008, but they were released by the World Health Organization in 2013. That 36 million global deaths in that particular year, and this is annual, caused by non-communicable disease. This is 63% of all deaths worldwide. If this is left to go unchecked, the number would be 55 million expected, anticipated, predicted deaths by 2030 due to diet and lifestyle factors. These are factors that can be changed, of course. These are deaths that can be prevented if persons do not pursue the same diets and lifestyle that they currently are. If we look at obesity, which is close to food, of course, there are 1.4 billion adults overweight worldwide. Overweight being having a BMI greater than 25 kilograms per meter squared. There are 0.5 billion adults obese, so this is with a BMI greater than 30, a body mass index greater than 30, and it's estimated that 2.5 million people die each year due to obesity. Now, obesity in itself is a problem, but it is what obesity causes for people that is, I guess, the most significant problem. Obesity is a comorbidity. It is a causative factor of type 2 diabetes, of cardiovascular disease, of osteoarthritis, of certain types of cancer, colorectal cancer. It causes sleep apnea in people. Of course, there are social impacts and so on also. And then again, there are significant costs on society due to ill health, lost days at work for employees, shorter working lives, and so on. And of course, the healthcare costs are the other significant burden on economies. Worldwide, currently there are 366 million diabetics, and the grey circle around here is showing those. These are diagnosed persons that have diagnosed diabetes. The grey circle is showing persons with impaired glucose tolerance, which would be considered as pre-diabetic. If they continue as they are, they will become diabetic in time. The numbers predicted by 2030 is 550 million. So this is almost a doubling and this is diabetes is a terrible thing if allowed to go unchecked. And of course, again, very significant costs in terms of treating this for a person by medications and so on. Here in China, and China is not immune from this problem at all, there are 170 million persons obese with a BMI over 30. This is about 12% of the Chinese population. If you look here, that the increase in diabetics in China has gone from 1980, where the reported figures are that there were hardly anybody in China that had diabetes, to currently 11.6% of total population. And given the size of population you have here, this is actually 1/3 of all diabetics in the world are currently Chinese persons living here in China. And there are very, very many more who are pre-diabetic, have impaired glucose tolerance, that are at risk of developing this. And the estimated cost, this was over the last 10-year period, you can see here 558 billion to the Chinese economy in terms of impacts related to obesity, diabetes, premature death caused by heart disease and stroke. So this I guess is some of the context and the background. This is what has governments thinking and now actually thinking very seriously about what are we going to do about this. We have a WHO global action plan for the prevention and control of non-communicable diseases that was agreed in 2013. heads of state from all around the world, ministries for health, signed up to this. They made commitments. There are roadmaps, there are policy options, there are performance indicators and evaluation stages that take place against those that these ministers have committed to. Within that, now we have lost the slides. Hang on, we're back again. Within this, two I think are most relevant here to food. There's a commitment that there should be a 30% decrease in sodium content achieved in diet globally by 2020. It's also the case that there should be a zero increase in type 2 diabetes and obesity. So again, if you see the way the trends were, and I guess we see from the food industry voluntary commitments to taking out sodium and so on and so forth, well, it will be put upon, if those commitments are not effective, legislation, I would say, would kick in at some point in time. Margaret Chand, who's the director of the WHO, delivered a speech. This was on the 10th of June 2013 in Helsinki. She very provocatively challenged the food industry to bring about change. She compared food with tobacco, deliberately referring to big food, big soda, big alcohol, and expressing a failure of political will to take on big business. Okay, so this seems like a drastic situation, and sugar, of course, is really in the spotlight now at the moment in terms of the potential effect it has on ill health. We see this as an opportunity, and of course the whole food industry should see this as an opportunity. The food industry has to play its role in the provision of healthy foods. Of course, now this does require significant innovation in food formulations, in ingredients and flavors, but this is a very significant growth category. We heard the very first speaker of this conference talking about how here in China and elsewhere that the health food area, should it be, or foods of higher nutritional value is really where we're going to see very significant growth over the coming years. We'd like to see, of course, that nutritional foods are mainstream. They're not the niche food that one finds in the back aisle of the supermarket or on the lower shelf, let's say, but that our core brands can become healthy for you. In terms of this particular slide here shows that there is an interconnectivity between various aspects of health. It is not the case that in order to have a healthy brain, you have to feed a particular functional ingredient that targets directly the brain. It is the case that your gut health has an impact on your ability to learn and cognition. It is the case that your gut health has an impact on your ability to accrete lean muscle mass and support your skeletal bone development. And we know this, of course, through what you eat in terms of calcium for osteoporosis and so on and so forth. We deliberately put flavor up here, and I'll explain to this as we go along later. Flavor is not a neutral substance in a food. Flavor is active in its own way. We have evolved, and our senses are there specifically to guide us to eat what our body believes is good for us. And the pillars and the mechanisms on which one can target health are via the immune system and via the endocrine system. Simrise is focusing on enhancing the positive and reducing the negative. There are three core themes that run through this, one being cognitive health and performance, the other being weight management and metabolic health, specifically type 2 diabetes, and the third being around aging, muscle, and maintenance of mobility. And these are interlinked. They are in balance with one another. Moving on to healthcare flavors. So here we seek to reformulate without flavor compromise. Also to identify functional bioactivity of flavor compounds. This is based upon our core flavor competencies and based upon strength that we have in flavor science and sensory and consumer insights, because of course it is always going to be important that the consumer continues to have the pleasure from the food and seeks to choose it. So I mentioned earlier that the sense of taste or flavor, the sensory properties of food, are not they're not a neutral substance in the food. Palatability determines food choice, acceptance, and nutrient intake. The tongue is simply the top of your digestive system. The same taste receptors that we have on our tongue are also found up and down our gut, and there is an associative learning between what we detect internally post-ingestion and what we taste on our tongue and our development of preference for that. Sensory perception is very much involved in termination of an eating occasion. And a very simple demonstration of this is in taste exposure, both the intensity and the duration and the character impact on how much you can consume of a given food. You can see this easily by consuming a beverage with a spoon, where you will be satisfied at a much earlier stage than if you drink it, or if you juice, for example, a bunch of grapes compared to eating them one by one. Again, you can consume a much greater volume of energy in the beverage form, and it has been proven now that this is due to a taste exposure. It's not only related to the texture of it. Monotony results in a decrease in desire to consume a food that is consumed regularly. This is important. Older people, in fact, lose some sensory abilities, and one of the significant consequences is that they enjoy a more monotonous diet. Earlier we heard about the importance of variety in diet being important from a nutritional and health point of view. If you enjoy a monotonous diet, then that is putting you at risk of a nutritional deficit. And this is a model of eating behavior. And this is published 2011 in Obesity Reviews. The authors here are very well recognized internationally in terms of understanding appetite and understanding appetite regulation and satiety. And again here there are two parts to this. There's a sensory process and there's a metabolic process, and it is the interplay between both of these that is actually important in satiety and in satisfaction. So that's one important point to remember. In terms of our capability, so one of the issues, of course, facing the food industry is taking out the negatives out of food. So it is the case that sugar, salt, energy content, in the past, of course, these are important, very important sources of nutrition for us, very important. It is the case, and we have evolved to seek these out in foods and to enjoy them, to be rewarded by them, and to preferentially choose foods that contain these. So that was an evolutionary advantage. When you have a proliferation of this in the marketplace, where every company has used the easy taste route in order to provide the pleasure to the consumer, what you find then is that people overconsume these. Now, of course, as an industry, we have to take out some of the sugar that's in foods unnecessarily, perhaps. We have to retrain the palate to a lower level of sweetness if that's necessary. And we have to reduce the energy contents of foods. Symrise, of course, is as a flavor business, is a partner to industry in achieving this. We have capabilities that enable reduction and removal, that can provide, and when you take out sugar or salt, it is not the case that you can simply replace it one for one with something else. That's not how it works, because sucrose provides a roundness to a sweetness perception that has a mouthfeel character to it also. Sucrose can often be 10%, maybe even more of the total composition of a product. This has an impact on the volatility of aromatic compounds. You have to rebalance the entire flavor. This is also the case when one is talking about removing energy in terms of fat and so on. The other side to this is if you are aimed to add functional ingredients to a food, oftentimes there is a bitterness or there's an off taste associated with this. And again, you would need to apply capabilities in order to mask those off tastes. And functional ingredients have that taste again because a bioactivity innately is often associated with the bitter taste. This is just an example for sweetness here, where we gained consumer insights with regard to what consumers talk about in terms of both positive and negative regarding sugar in food. Not only from a taste point of view, but also in terms of attitudes towards it from a nutrition and health point of view. This insight, together with the capabilities that we have for masking the flavors, for providing the good taste back, then enables one to achieve significant reduction in sugar and improve the nutritional value of the food in that particular way. Moving on a little further now, so a little bit deeper into the, I guess, the physiology of flavor. Again, there are numerous studies now that show a physiologically active role for flavorings and for palatable substances in food intake. And this can work both ways. Palatable foods reward, and that's a psychological function. And what you get is an increase in serotonin, which will encourage you to, if your reward is fulfilled, serotonin level high, you would cease the consumption. When you consume a lot, you need more and more in order for you to be rewarded. So this is the link in that regard. There are other ways and means of increasing serotonin levels. We have looked at some physiological activity of flavor active compounds, and have screening capabilities now for looking at the enhancing or suppressing effects on appetite of a whole range of different potentially physiologically active compounds. And here's one example here, nonivamide. And in a clinical study, we could demonstrate that this has a significant impact on the amount of food eaten at the next eating occasion, and demonstrated the mechanism here as nonivamide elevating serotonin levels, which causes one to decrease it suppresses appetite. We have an interest in appetite enhancement also because, of course, the problem can be the other way around for elderly persons, where energy intake is a requirement as opposed to trying to reduce energy intake. Moving on to nutritional ingredients. Here, and this is beyond flavor, so this is beyond the core flavor competencies that you would associate Symrise best with. What we wish here is to support the development of truly healthy foods and drinks, to support healthier diets and lifestyles, and that this should be based on strong clinical evidence. The strong clinical evidence part is very, very important. It's important if one of our customers wishes to make a health claim, of course. And it's important. There is so much noise out there for the consumer, and it is very difficult for them to choose. And it is very difficult for them to have confidence and trust that when they see a message, that it is a believable message. And of course, reason to believe and substantiation of a health claim is absolutely critical for big brand products, so that they can be trusted and relied upon by the consumer. The gut microbiome has received very significant attention probably over the last 10 years or so. There are very large research programs in place now studying the population of persons' gut microbiome. There's a very large European Union project just funded, a €9 million project looking at the association between gut microbiome and obesity and cognitive health, for example. How come the gut microbiome has a role to play in this? Well, it's the case that when you eat food, it goes into your intestine, of course, and this is where the population of the gut microbiology is. that is involved in the digestion of your food. So the content of your gut will determine the efficiency with which your food is digested for you, motility and so on and so forth. The content of your food also determines the health of your gut microbiome. So there's an interaction between the two. If you eat a particular type of diet, an unhealthy diet for a couple of weeks, you can see that in your gut microbiome. If you eat a healthy diet for a couple of weeks, you can see that in your gut microbiome, and vice versa. It's also the case then that these microorganisms release metabolites, and those metabolites, if they're not the good type, can cause inflammation and in health. Those metabolites, if they are the good type, can assist you in learning and development. They can assist you as anti-inflammatory compounds and so on. I'll just highlight a couple of publications for you here, going through these quite quickly, and this is just showing you the evidence base that's behind this. All of these in the last couple of years, the role of gut microbiota in health, in nutrition and health. The gut microbiota shapes intestinal immune responses during health and disease. Again, the role of gut microbiology in health and chronic intestinal disease, understanding a hidden metabolic organ. These are all published, as you can see, some of them in Nature, Science, very high impact journals. Here is a paper, Beneficial Metabolic Effects of Probiotic via Butyrate-Induced GLP-1 Secretion. Essentially, in layman's terms, this is showing a proven function for a probiotic on management of type 2 diabetes. And here again, another publication, The Gut Microbiota and its Relationship to Diet and Obesity, New Insights. And again, this is recently published. So we are a partner with a company, Probi, a Swedish company, and it has I would say it has a long-lasting, a long-standing reputation. It was founded in 1994 on the strength of a number of strains of probiotic, one in particular, Lactobacillus plantarum 299V. That is perhaps the strain that has the most publications of all if you go to literature, because not only has Probi been engaged in clinical work, of course many university academics and so on use this for their own work because they wish to compare it to others and so on and so forth. It has proven effect in two areas. One is around immunity, and in particular prevention of infection and cold. The other is around treating inflammation in the gut, with a particular functionality for irritable bowel syndrome. And I guess one of the other unique features of this particular probiotic, and where it is placed uniquely in the marketplace, is that it is not cultured in a dairy base. It is cultured, in fact, in a cereal base, but it is suitable for a low acid environment, and is finding very good applications in fruit juice beverages. So the Proviva beverage, which is on the Swedish market, has about 40% of the juice market in Sweden, and is very it's been established there and continues to grow all the time based on the proven benefit to the consumer. More recently, there was a product with this, Good Belly, launched in the United States, and this is showing double-digit growth figures and is expected to have more than $50 million of sales by 2015. So it's really doing well. And of course, the key to these is, okay, you sell the expectation to this consumer. It must be clinically proven. It must be effective, or the consumer will move on to another product. That's how it works essentially. There are several. I don't know why that happens. There are several other options. This probiotic can be in not only in juice formats, but also as a powdered product added to bars and other various formats. Lastly, I want to talk about, and this is another partner of Symrise, Indivex. It's also a Swedish company. But the first point I want to demonstrate here with this particular slide is that it is not only the what you eat, but the timing and the time when you eat what you eat that is important. Indivex have developed and patented a preload concept with a very nutritious food that is low GI, that contains essential amino acids in the best ratio, that has the fiber, vitamins, and minerals in there. And the preload concept is essentially it is when you consume this 30 minutes before a meal, what it does is it initiates the metabolic process essentially. And what you can see here again are results showing that when you consume your next meal, what you find is that you have a much slower release of energy from that meal. And this is regardless of the content of the meal. Okay, there will be an interaction between the two, but what this preload does for you is allows you to manage your sugar level across the day, and that then has an impact on satisfying cravings to enable you to have a lesser appetite. And what is proven then is it enables weight loss. And of course the main goal for this particular product, the main target, is around dietary management of type 2 diabetes, where it's showing significant effect. There are again a range of options here. So Indivex have this available in several options, in bars, in shakes, and as I mentioned, it's showing positive results in terms of, and again the clinical studies are there to show that this manages plasma glucose type 2 diabetes. So I've only got 2 slides and then I shall be finished. So I'm at the end here now. What we see in terms of future foods, and this is what we're actively working towards, and I guess I'm not here just to tell you what Symrise is doing, but I'm also trying to encourage you to see the value of the need for improvement in person's diet, but also show you some examples of how this can be achieved. Clinically proven is absolutely essential. Of course, you have to invest in ingredients where you will find effect. Otherwise, they will be fly-by-night. Yes, you may get a strong impact on sales to start with, but you won't have any effect on a consumer's health, and at the end of the day, you won't have any commercial success with that either. We seek to, and this is what I believe will be the case, that you will have a flavor assisting satisfaction and satiety in low-energy foods. Like I said earlier, flavor has a function. It is not something that you should be considering in the last 2 weeks of a product development. It's also the case that we can use flavor to develop positive emotional response to foods with high nutritional value and an association between the two. In terms of nutritional ingredients, we're talking about assisted weight management, improved metabolic health. This area of the microbiome gut health axis is really going to explode, and there's going to be, I'm very, very sure that there will be numerous products in the marketplace in time to come, particularly targeting cognition, mental health, targeting metabolic health. And of course, it is also the case that you can enhance the way that protein is absorbed and metabolized, improving muscle function and so on for older persons. So just to summarize very, very quickly here, we have a significant public health problem at the moment. This cannot keep going unchecked, and governments are taking action. This is putting pressure on the food industry. Consumers themselves are beginning to demand action now. This should be seen as an opportunity, not something that we keep trying to fight off, I guess, or postpone till a later date. Foods that are too high in sugar and salt, it is now the case that you can remove these ingredients. You can do this without compromise on taste, because the consumer will always demand good taste. However, it's a challenge, and it requires consumer insights, and it requires a whole of flavor approach. Nutritional science is advancing very significantly now, and nutritional science is meeting mainstream food in many cases. And this new knowledge of how nutrients are interacting with body functions is enabling then the development of clinically substantiated ingredients that will have effect. It's not just how do you say, a marketing story. Probiotics, as I mentioned, I think there is very significant opportunity here. And also, again, just to reiterate that flavour has a functional role. It assists in food intake regulation, enabling positive associations with nutritional value. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was very interesting. Yeah, so a lot of things to take in there. Have we got any questions? We're a little bit behind time, but we can probably fit one in. Yes, over here.
And when we want to provide a nice also study such as the nonivamid with the satiety, then we get into a different kind of regulation, so we are going outside our kind of comfort zone and outside the consumer comfort zone. So my question for you would be, how do you deal with labeling and regulation of these kinds of material, and what would be also the strategy for claims of the functional flavor category?
Look, I guess there's two approaches. One is whether you would wish to make a claim with regard to one of these materials, or whether you would seek to